talk about that as well.
Let's do it.
The millennial thing.
We're back on the Morning Brew with Friends with Ramon Montoya, the deputy county clerk. I think I said court clerk,
Yep.
but it's early.
It is
but,
early.
It's great that you guys are on, because in the clerk's office, this has got to be just an incredibly busy season. Presidential election coming up. Every single House and Senate seat is up. Your office is up for election. Everything is happening right now, right? It's got to be just amazing. Is there just like a life and a vibrancy and something really cool happening in the clerk's office?
In the elections world, this is the World Series and the Super Bowl of elections. Every time you get a presidential election.
Right.
I love running all elections. I've run small elections. I've run big elections. But the presidential elections have their own feel, their own vibe about them, and it's exciting. It's exciting for people to care, for people to come out. I love all elections, but especially presidential elections.
Well, I think in the county clerk business, like, this has got to be the one everybody comes in to register to vote, probably. The office is never busier with people registering, right?
That's right.
And probably the phone's ringing off the hook with people, how do I vote? Where do I vote? How do I do all this stuff? And what do you tell them? We got convenience centers, we've got forms you can fill out. Here's your voter ID, all of that stuff?
That's exactly right. For first-time voters, it's especially really neat to be able to tell them what's going on and to get them involved in the process, to show them how easy it is. They don't always get to appreciate it, because a first-time voter who may be 18 years old didn't vote before, when we had precinct elections, when we didn't have online voter registration, when we didn't have it tied to the MVD system as well.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot of conveniences that the voters who are traditionally have been voting for the past 10, 15, 20 years and more understand these new concepts that have been out there. You brought up the voting convenience centers.
Right.
I actually started that in Rio Rancho in 2010, and the state adopted it statewide, so now the entire state can use voting convenience centers.
Right, and this is the idea that you can vote in any place that has voting machines for early voting. Like, I live downtown, but I could go to the mall and vote.
That's exactly
I don't
right.
have to go to my elementary school over here anymore.
As an administrator, we always said, the phone calls that we get from people are saying, "Hey, you're suppressing the vote because I don't know where to go vote. When I go vote to my school board, I go vote at one location. When I go to vote for president, I vote at a different location. When I vote for the governor or for mayor, I vote at even a third location." So in order to prevent that, to break down that barrier, I said, well, you know what? We need to do something to make it easier for people to vote. That way you can't turn out at the wrong location. Because if someone gets frustrated and they can't cast their vote, there's a possibility they may not turn out to vote again. So we want to make sure that we're capturing people and including them as much as possible.
Do you have to look at voters like a business looks at a consumer and a customer? Like, if one bad experience and they're never going to come back? Is that how it is?
That definitely has happened. We've heard voters tell us stories like anytime that they have a barrier, anything that makes it difficult for them to vote, it's an excuse for someone not to have to vote, because they don't always want to go out somewhere. And when they do go, they don't want to wait in line for half an hour. And if they do wait in line for half an hour, all of a sudden you tell them you're in the wrong location, or you're not a major party candidate, you can't vote in this closed primary. They get frustrated, they leave, and there's a higher possibility that they don't vote again. And that's what we try to do. I do look at it as a business model. I do want to make sure that I attract as many voters as possible, and we get a true democracy. The more participation we get, the truer our democracy really is.
Right. And then going into this season, this year it's a little bit more contentious. And what does that do to the phone calls you guys get? Do people call up and say, take Bernie off the ballot, or take Trump off the ballot, or do they call you up and complain about that stuff? I've always wondered.
We get some people like that, we definitely do, but we get a lot of new voters, which has been excellent. We've seen that trend kind of across the country.
Are they all 18-year-olds, or are they like people in their 40s who are never had a reason to vote, and this year I feel like I'm going to vote?
Well, on one side of the aisle, there has been a new type of voter, a first-time voter who's probably in their middle-aged, 40s, 50 years old, who maybe not have ever voted before, but now they see something new and exciting for them, so they're turning out to vote. On the other side of the aisle, we have younger voters turning out. We have teenagers turning out in mass.
The 17-year-old thing.
Yes.
The governor signed that, right?
We're very excited with that. We have about 500, a little over 500 people who are eligible for that. And those are the 17-year-olds who are not 18 yet by the primary, but they will be 18 by the general election. So this allows them to say, you know what, this is who I want to nominate to be able to elect in November. So So
Right.
this is an exciting time for changes and for including more people.
That's very cool. And is this, have you seen this kind of swell of new voters before? I mean, I watched the national news is saying this year, not only, I guess the polls are saying that Trump is bringing out first-time voters who are generally in their 40s and 50s, whereas Bernie is bringing out the first-time voters who are 18 to 24. Are we seeing that same trend here?
We are seeing a lot of that same thing going across the country. If it continues to stay very, very close, on the other side of the aisle, on the Republican side, Trump is not, since he's pretty much wrapped it up,
Right.
we're afraid that we're going to lose some voters. If it was closer, tighter, then then there would be more people apt to come out to vote. But because he's kind of wrapped it up already, we're afraid that that's going to leave some people at home, and we want those people out participating.
Right.
The same thing with the...
Because the presidential election isn't the only one on the ballot.
That's correct. There's a lot more races, including my race as the county clerk.
You are, is today your last day, you said?
Today's my last day in the office as the administration portion of my office. I have to concentrate on campaigning as part of Bernalillo County's rules. You have to take 2 weeks off before the election.
Right.
So I'll be concentrating fully 100% on my campaign for the office.
Right.
After I've been running elections for 15 years, and this is, like I said, my favorite time of the year is running a presidential. But now they're telling me I have to sit it out while the last 2 weeks happens while I campaign. So it's a little unusual.
No doubt. No doubt. We'll be back in a couple of seconds with the Morning Brew with friends, and we're going to wrap up today. This has been fun. A bunch of entrepreneurial stuff. This is great, right?
Great.
Back in a couple of seconds.